President Hamilton, Dean Morrison, members and staff of NYU faculty, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, families and students of the graduating class of 2018. It is indeed a great honor to have been invited to make a few remarks here today on this auspicious occasion. As I reflected on what I could possibly say to an NYU class of lawyers, and then I have to follow a great young lawyer, I was almost intimidated, and I feel even more intimidated now. But anyway, congratulations. This is truly a remarkable achievement on your part. My dear friend Tom Bernstein, who has been closely associated with the law school for decades, together with 94-year-old father, who encouraged me to come and speak. I said to them, so what do you think I should talk about? They said, go and tell them about the greatest legal battle that ever took place on the African continent. I said, but in 15 minutes in Africa, we don't tell. It takes us 15 minutes to say hello. So let me give it a shot. In 1993, when I was 31 years old, I sued the government of the Republic of Zimbabwe under Robert Mugabe. Some of you may remember him. He was president of Zimbabwe for 37 years until last November. Now, when you sue somebody like that, this is where you get one of those, you know the disclaimers you get on before a big stunt? Don't do this one at home. Okay, so it can only be done by professional stuntmen. So I sued the government of Robert Mugabe. I sued him over the right to build a mobile network in 1993. And at the time, you know, you all carry cell phones, as we call them, and you call in America here mobile phones. Just remember a time when they didn't exist. And in my part of the world, in Africa, they not only didn't exist, but what we call teledensity, the penetration of telephones in a society, was at 1.4%, and we considered Zimbabwe a good one. But seen in another way, 75% of the African people had never heard a telephone ringing, let alone own one. So I filed a court application to say that the monopoly held by the state should be removed. And it was similar right across the whole world. Very few countries back in 1993 had private telephone companies. The United States, of course, had AT&T, and they had just been sued. But I took them to court, and everybody held their breath across Africa. One diplomat later confessed to me that they took bets as to how long I would live. Anyway, I lost. I went all the way to our country's appeals court, very enthusiastic, and I lost the case. And everybody thought it was over. And then some bright lawyers, you just shouldn't hang around them, suggested I take the matter up as a constitutional matter. And that's what our battle was about. We decided to take down the monopoly on the basis that it offended the right of freedom of expression. That you could not have in a constitution a freedom of expression if one of the tools by which we express ourselves, which is a telephone, was under the control of a monopoly. And it took us 5 years of legal battles. I assembled a legal team. One of my lawyers came from New York. Some of the lawyers came from South Africa, England, and Zimbabwe's finest lawyers. And we went before Zimbabwe's constitutional bench. which was led by a very famous Zimbabwean jurist of Jewish descent. And he was a phenomenal jurist. And at the end of it, he ruled that I was correct. You could not have a monopoly over telecommunications without offending the freedom of expression. Now the real battle was, would the government accept the ruling? Our president was very upset, to put it mildly. But after a year, he relented, and under a Supreme Court writ, we became the only telephone company in the world to be licensed by a court. So that company began operating in 1998. It's been going just short of 20 years now. It has about 11 million customers. It's listed on a stock exchange, has a value of about $2 billion US. But it's not that which is important. Today, 110% of the people have a telephone. 75% following that decision right across the African continent, because of the publicity that followed the case, right across the African continent and in many other parts of the world, telephone monopolies were removed. Within 10 years, there was almost no telephone monopoly. Now, I cannot say I'm responsible for that, but in a small way, my legal team, the lawyers, did a phenomenal job to highlight what you can do with the rule of law. Now, today in Africa, 75% of the population have telephones, have their mobile phones in their pockets. They bank on their cell phones. They use them for, smallholder farmers use them for getting information about markets, banking, financial transactions, healthcare, and of course social media and Facebook. It has been a remarkable revolution. But as you begin the next stage of your professional life journey, I hope this little story from a far-flung part of the world in Africa will inspire you, because it reminds us all how global the rule of issues of the rule of law and what good lawyers can do from anywhere around the world. Some of you know that I spend part of my time every week interacting with young people on Facebook. I think I have about 3 million followers who I interact with as entrepreneurs and discuss issues like the rule of law. Everyone who knows that I believe that the key tenet to success in business begins with a foundation around the rule of law. As such, upholding the rule of law is one of the greatest professional callings there is, and you are ground zero to that. I see all of you in front of me today, not just as the legal profession, but also as nation builders and enterprise builders. Without you, entrepreneurs like myself cannot build businesses that employ millions of people around the world. You are the very fabric on which we build our businesses. I have no doubt that I would not be standing here in front of you, having employed some 10,000 people since, and having had the opportunity to send 250,000 young people, orphans, to school with my wife in the last 25 years. If it hadn't been for some brave, courageous lawyers assembled from around the world who passionately believed that the law is a tool for transformative change. You will face many battles yourselves, perhaps even as entrepreneurs like myself. But even if you do not, what I came to tell you today was that the work you do is extremely important. Do not be afraid of using the tools that you have been taught here in this fine institution to do the right thing. Sometimes you will, like I said, have to deal with the disclaimer that says this can only be done by professionals. But then again, you are the professionals. Once again, let me take this opportunity to congratulate you and your families. As your colleague said so rightly, my own daughter this morning graduated in this very institution in a different part of the school. And as a parent, it's a day of extreme pride. And your parents are here with us. And really, I want you just for a moment, as I step away, give them the hand clap. They are the ones, I know what it took as a parent for you to be here. Thank you so much, and God bless you and bless your journey.